Hi everyone, my name is Guillaume and today I'm going to explain how I'm sharing data models between the front and the back of my app using OpenAPI and more specifically openapi-generator. So sharing a data model is something like really common. Every app has to do it sometime. But adding OpenAPI to a project can be really frightening at first if you have never done it, and it seems like it can be a lot of steps. So the objective of this talk is to show you that it can be really easy and that you can get started with OpenAPI generator and add models quickly to your Flutter app. So as I said, my name is Guillaume, which is often hard to pronounce for non-French people, so you can call me William, which is like the English equivalent of Guillaume. I've been doing Flutter for like a really long time. I was publishing my first Medium articles in 2017, but I guess no one should read them. It is like you don't write Flutter like that anymore. I've created the location plugin, which helps you get the position of your user easily, which is now like a Flutter forward package, so really happy about that. And I've been now doing Flutter professionally for 1 year at bam.tech, where I'm a tech lead. And I'm really happy to be part of Flutter Vikings, even though if it's remote. So yeah, let's get started. So here a small overview of what I'll be covering in today's presentation. So at first I'm going to talk about what is the OpenAPI and the OpenAPI generator project. Then I will show you how to install and use OpenAPI generator. And finally, I will show you how to import the generated package in your Flutter app so you never have to write one JSON serializable class ever again. So yeah. First, what is the OpenAPI project? So the objective of the OpenAPI project is to standardize the way we describe our API. It means that the OpenAPI specification is meant to be used on all platforms. But even though this is the objective, most platforms don't have a way of easily parsing the OpenAPI format. This is the case for Flutter, for instance. We don't have a way of importing an OpenAPI file into Flutter, but it is the case for most languages actually. So if it's not directly supported, why should we use this format? Well, it can be advantageous for different reasons. They are all like really important. So for instance, if you have a backend and a frontend in a different language, you can't directly share your data models. So for instance, at the moment, writing a backend in Dart isn't the most popular thing to do. We still have most of our backend that are written in Node.js or even PHP. So using OpenAPI is a good way to make sure that even though you are using different languages, you will be able to agree on the specification easily. The second reason is OpenAPI makes you able to create mocks really easily. So I will not cover this part in this presentation, but there is actually a lot of ways to easily create a mock server from your API model. From your OpenAPI model. It means that even though nothing has been implemented, you can start developing with the true endpoints, and your front-end development doesn't have to wait for the back-end development to have been finished, which can be like super useful to gain a lot of time in short project. OpenAPI can also be like really useful if you have like a public API and you need to document it automatically. So maybe you have used like public API and you have already seen generated document. I will show you one later. But if you are trying to sell an API, I guess you already know OpenAPI, but yeah, it can be like really useful to have like a high level of quality and consistency between your developments and your documentation. So yeah, for those kind of project, OpenAPI is almost mandatory. Finally, the last reason, the one we are going to be interested into today, is how to automatize part of your workflow. So even though I've already mentioned JSON serializable previously, You can always write them by hand, and at first it can be like really easy. You only have like strings, ints, bool, and booleans, and yeah, you can go. But once you start to add enums, once you start to add like specific data format that you need to parse, OpenAPI can make you gain a lot of time and ensure that you always are sync with what your backend is sending you. So yeah, so we've been talking about OpenAPI for a long time. What does it actually look like? So it looked like this. So you can find OpenAPI documents in JSON or YAML format. This one is in YAML. It's part of the Swagger demo OpenAPI file. So I've taken this one. So this is like a pet store where you can like have information about pet and update the information about the pet in the store. So here we have like two endpoints. So the first one is the get pet, which is at the pet/pet ID. You can see that you can add tags, you can add summary, a description, an ID, and you can and then you can start to describe the parameters of the route. So you add here a pet ID, which is like a simple integer, and you can see that the response is can be of several types. So 200, which is successful, 400, which is invalid ID, and 404 pet not found. And you can see that the response is a schema, which is defined like later in the file. So this is already useful to have like consistency in your schemes between different endpoints. So that's really nice. And same thing for post. So you can see that there is like a lot of parameters. So still the pet ID, but now there is like the name and the status, which are in form data, which is a way of sending data to your server. And there is like same thing, different response, like 405 invalid input. So yeah, that's like a common OpenAPI file. And so later in the OpenAPI documentation of this particular file, we have like the pet definition. So you can see that there, this is an object which have two fields that are required, name and photo URLs. And you have like all the information. So by example, photo URLs is like a type array, and each items is like a string. So you can give like a lot of information. Some of them are not totally required. For XML, if you don't send your data in XML format, you can just ignore that. And same thing like for the status, you can see that you have a type string, but it is actually an enum available, pending, sold, which we'll see in the generated code in Flutter. It will be like properly generated, and you don't have to parse the enum to ensure that you are safe within your code. So the OpenAPI generator is a project written in Java, but this project allows you to create and generate clients for all the languages. So let's see quickly all the things that are available. So if we go in the generator.md, we can see all the clients. So you can see there is Dart, Dart, Next, which are the three clients for Dart and Flutter. But you have like a lot of languages, so and same thing for the server generator that allow you to create the OpenAPI. So we are going to use Dart Next, since this is the best one for using null safety. Yeah, so that's really nice. So you have all the config options, the ability, for instance, to change the pub name, pub version, pub library, and all the things that you might need, and all the reserved words that you shouldn't be using, like in your class and in your OpenAPI document. So yeah, so that's the OpenAPI generator, and now we're going to see how we can use it. So here it is, like the small project we're going to use for the demo. So I've downloaded the pet store server. So this is like the thing I have the open API file I've shown you. So they are really like pet post, pet find by status, and there is like our get pet /id. And if we go way at the bottom, we have like our object and the object. Yeah, here the object pet with name, photos as required, and everything. So the first step is to download the open API generator. So there are like several ways you can like use directly the Java file, or you can also use Brew to install directly the open API generator. I will just use, since we are like Flutter developers, we already have Java, so I'll use like the jar file. So I will use like this simple command, which is only a call that we download the latest version of open API generator. So here it is, I have it right here. And then I will launch the command java.jar openapi generator to see if everything is running properly. So yeah, you can see that everything is launching properly. So I have Java that is working and my jar is not like corrupted or anything. And now I will properly generate my API client. So you can see here that the command is quite simple. You just generate, which is documented right here. You say -i for the input file, so api.yaml that I've downloaded. You generate with the generator .your next that we've talked about previously, and then you select your output folder. Be sure to select an output folder, otherwise it will like mess up with your original Flutter project files. So yeah, and once we start to hit enter, we can see that there is like a small folder API that is generated. VS Code already took care of Flutter pub-get in this folder, but we can see that we have still errors because we have not generated the data. So as we can see in the prospect.yaml, we have dependency on build runner, which means that we need to launch the build runner to generate all the files. So if I go into the API folder and I run flutter pub run build runner delete conflicting inputs just in case, and I run that, it should like properly generate everything that we need for the API to run. So it should take a little bit of time. Yeah, you can see that there is like something that are not properly configured as per my Flutter version and the version of the API, but it still succeeds. And then you can see that yeah, we don't have red anymore and we have everything that is properly generated, so that's a good sign. So now that we have generated the API, let's see how we are supposed to use it in our Flutter project. So now that we have our proper API generated, we now need to import it into our main project, which is Flutter Vikings. As you can see, so the first step is to go to the prospect.yaml of our Flutter Viking project and import the project generated right alongside. So we can see that the name is openapi. This is something that you can change in the build setting of openapi generator, but I just left it like a standard way. So we are going to write openapi and import from path. So that's it. And we will need something else. This is Dio. Since we are using Dio next at the Dio next at the generator, we need to install Dio. So we can see that everything was successfully added, and we can now add dependence to our main file, which is the pet API. up this .petabyte. So preferably you will not have something like that injected just as a requirement and instanted like this, but more provided by provider for something, for example, of our river pod or something like that. But for the sake of the demo, we are going just to add it this way. So paid API, thanks GitHub Copilot for the nice suggestions. And here we are going to create like a default Dio instance, and the second argument is serializer, and we can import standard serializer from the API. So if we go to check this file, so we can see that we are in the API folder, and we can see that this is like something that has been generated to be able to parse all the data that we are going to have. So we can see that there is like different factories that have been added for pet, for user, which are part of our api.yaml object. So yeah, that's it. So we have our pet API, so that's nice. So now the next step is to actually use our API. So we have imported paid API, we have defined Dio, and now we're going to load data. So this is like the simple counter app that for now I just like hooked into a new load data function, and I'm going to use like final pet widget.paidAPI dots, and there you can see that we have all the functions that are defined in our API that are properly generated and available to be used. So I will just first like do a get pet by API, and if I'm not sure what is a pet ID, I just can read like the documentation, and I see that this is an int, so I will just put in here, save. I will run the app on my device just to be sure, and I will add like print pet. So we can see like in the debug console what is running. So this should be built anytime now. Okay, great. And when I'm clicking, oh, I have an error, and this is quite simple. We say like not specified in URI. This is because openapi is made like to be reused depending on your environment. For instance, you have like a prod environment for your prod, and dev environment and staging environment, and you might want to check which environment you are, and based on which environment you are in, be sure to have like different calls. So you have like in Dio you can add base URL. So I will just go right here, copy paste swagger.io, and add HTTPS. So yeah, we should be good. I'll just add like trailing commas just by habitude. And when I click here and I scroll, so I have to await my instance. And now that I'm properly awaiting, I can see that right here I have a pet with ID 1, that's good, with its status and everything. So if I go pet data.status, I can see that right here about a pet status enum. So we should always check if data isn't null before calling to that. And if I go here, right, so this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the talk. Swagger doesn't have like a proper server behind this. It's just a mock, so it sometimes returns a 404, even though the ID hasn't changed. So here I just wrapped everything into a simple try catch, and if I check once again, so we have like a 404, 404, and yeah, finally not a 404, thanks. And we can see that this pet is available. So you have properly fetched data, and you are properly, you have like everything, like it, you can check like pet status egal, and there you have like pet status and you are available pending. So you have everything, and you've got a lot of time. So something else you might want to do like quite often for API is sending data to the API. So one of your solution, for instance, we are going to update a pet. We can see like in the response is valid, so we'll not need to check that. And there is like a required body, body pet. And pet, we can see we don't have like all the parameters of pet right inside of it, but we can see that there is like a pet builder. So this is what we are going to use. So builder, and we can do like builder.id equal 1, for instance, and then we can do like builder.name equal Flutter, for instance. So this is like a really good name for a pet, I think. So we will have like properly created a pet, build with those settings, and we will be able like to put, and if I click again on load data, again print properly updated. Yeah, if we click there, yeah, so we have like properly updated. So we have sent the update, and everything was properly updated on the part of the server. So that's really nice, and you can like create. So I've created right here, but you can also use like pet builder and add it right here, or everything, your ID, your name, your status. So yeah, so you're able to receive data and send data, and everything is like totally safe to be used by, since you have like the same model between your front and your back. So that's it for my presentation. By now you should be able to add openapi and openapi-generator to your project, and never need to write a JSON serializable class by hand ever again. So that should be like a huge time saver. If you have any question or want to drop me a message, you have my Twitter account there, and you have also my site. If you want to check, I will post like the small samples project I have written there, and a small script to generate your openapi file folder inside on the website. So don't forget to check, and most of all, stay safe, guys. Thanks.